Present up!
Honorable members, the RCA Band, under the direction of Captain Christopher Embry, CD, will now play a brief musical interlude, The Arrival of the Queen of Sheba. Originally a scenaphone for two oboes and strings by George Frederick Handel, which premiered in London on March 17, 1749. From the oratorio Solomon. Solomon is rarely performed in its entirety, but Handel's bright and lively. The Arrival of the Queen of Sheba interlude is a widely appreciated processional set piece. Please enjoy listening to the Royal Canadian Artillery Brass Band Ensemble performing The Arrival of the Queen of Sheba. Deputy Sergeant at Arms, admit Her Excellency, the Right Honourable Julie Payette, Governor General of Canada. Ladies and gentlemen, I would now invite Mr. R.C. Chambers, accompanied by the Royal Canadian Artillery Band, to lead us in the singing of our national anthem. Please join us in the language of your choice. Your Excellency, honorable members, ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. On behalf of all members and Albertans, I am honored to welcome you, Your Excellency, to the Legislative Assembly of Alberta. Your Excellency is an outstanding Canadian whose exceptional achievements range across a number of fields. You worked as an astronaut. You flew 2 missions in space, and you served for many years as a capsule commander for NASA. You are a scientist and an engineer of considerable repute and have been active in the educational, the sports, and cultural matters of our nation. Your Excellency, you are a role model for young Canadians, and most especially for young Canadian women. Do not underestimate your influence and your voice that needs to be heard. You reinforce our confidence and hope in the future of our province and of this great nation we call Canada. We are proud of your appointment as Canada's 29th Governor General. It is truly a momentous occasion to have the Governor General here with us in our chamber. It is only the 3rd time in the history of our province that a Governor General has addressed the Legislative Assembly of Alberta. Representing Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, Queen of Canada, Your Excellency's presence here today strengthens the connection between the Crown and our Assembly. The Governor General continues to play an essential role in our constitutional democracy and through official visits such as this. It helps to bring us together as Canadians, a bond that is not hampered by boundaries, but which celebrates our diversity and our strengths from sea to sea to sea. With great respect for you, your accomplishments, and the esteemed position you hold, I wish to extend, Your Excellency, the best wishes for all members of this Assembly as you make your way to our great province and as you travel through our beloved country. I am pleased to invite Premier to make her remarks to Your Excellency and to all Albertans. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Your Excellency, colleagues, distinguished visitors, ladies and gentlemen, what a great pleasure it is for me today to welcome Her Excellency, the Right Honourable Julie Payette, Governor-General and Commander-in-Chief of Canada, to this Assembly. While she is still relatively new to the vice-regal role, having been installed as our 29th Governor-General only last October, Madame Payette is very well known to Canadians. We know her best, as the Speaker has already mentioned, of course, as one of Canada's most accomplished astronauts. She flew 2 space shuttle missions and was the first Canadian to board the International Space Station. She served for many years as capsule communicator to NASA's Mission Control Center in Houston. And from 2000 to 2007, she was chief astronaut for the Canadian Space Agency. Her down-to-earth accomplishments, to name only a few of them, are no less impressive. She was a scholar at the Woodrow Wilson International Center in Washington, D.C. She served as the Chief Operating Officer of the Montreal Science Center. A longtime member of the board of Own the Podium, she was recently appointed to the International Olympic Commission Women in Sports Commission. She is also a gifted musician and singer and has sung with the Orchestre Symphonique de Montréal and Toronto's Tafelmusik Chamber Choir. Mr. Speaker, Her Excellency's experience as an astronaut has given her the rare privilege of looking upon our wonderful nation in its entirety, from the vantage point of outer space. She has seen Canada, Mr. Speaker, as we all should strive to see it, as a precious and beautiful gift without lines or divisions. In her unifying role as representative of Her Majesty the Queen, Her Excellency is traveling the nation to meet Canadians of all backgrounds, to learn the stories and aspirations of Canada's greatest resource, its people. We are honored, Mr. Speaker, that Her Excellency has chosen to visit Alberta so soon in her tenure as Governor-General. Your Excellency, all Albertans are honored to receive you as our guest. We hope that you enjoy your visit to our province, and we know that you will experience the great warmth of Alberta hospitality. You will find that Albertans are, to the core of their very being, proud and committed Canadians. Merci, Votre Excellence, et bienvenue.
Thank you, Honourable Premier. I would now like to welcome Her Excellency, the Right Honourable Julie Payette, Governor-General of Canada, to address this Legislative Assembly. Your Excellency.
Merci. Thank you. Mesdames et Messieurs, ladies and gentlemen, I first would like to acknowledge that I am on Treaty 6 territory, and very proudly so. And because I cannot speak all the languages of the First Nations of Alberta, I can speak a greeting in the First Nation language of the Algonquins, where Rideau Hall and the residence of the Governor-General is located. So Nidana Mikwak Kakina Anishinabek. I will like to go down here, if you don't mind, because I am so humbled by the invitation to address this venerable institution and all of you distinguished guests. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, Madame Premier, Monsieur le Chef de l'Opposition. I am humbled because I never thought in 100 years that I would be standing here truly addressing you. the good reason is that I have a long-standing relationship, actually a love relationship with Western Canada, and Alberta in particular, and that for many decades. From the moment I could buy an airplane ticket on my own, I flew from the east because the real skiing is right here. So I came to ski, and I discovered something that was really similar to where I came from, same kind of warmth of people. But then I got chosen in 1992 to become an astronaut. And they send us to, you know that province next door, Saskatchewan? And they send us to they sent me to become a pilot in Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan, and they sent me to survival training in Jasper Lake, Alberta. And it was in November 1993. You may not remember, I do. In November 1993, we went from +10 to -25 in like a day. And we weren't acclimatized, so they left us in the forest out there to survive with the content of the seat pack of an ejection seat to demonstrate that we can actually survive until the rescue folks can come to us. So we did. They plucked us out of the forest after a little while, and they took us to Hinton. And I have this memory of the best hamburger ever in Hinton, Alberta. It was just so amazing because we hadn't eaten, but it was just Alberta beef, the best. But it was not the end. I was so impressed by Alberta that when I flew in space in 1999, there was places where I needed to take my crew, and this province was one of them. So in 1999, after our flight, which occurred in May, June, we came in the summer here in Alberta. We, of course, went to those places like Ottawa and Montreal, and we even ended up in Iqaluit, because Iqaluit in 1991 had just become a new territory, and we had brought the flag with us in space to honor the new territory. And we came back down, and we landed in Edmonton. Went to see our friends at the Science Center and TELUS World. We gave presentation, and then there was a local person who lent us an Oldsmobile Cutlass, 1971, and we took off on Highway 2, drove down from Edmonton to Calgary. 6 astronauts, 5 Americans in 1 Cutlass. And we stopped at the Dairy Queen in Red Deer. Is it still there? It was in the middle of the summer. The Chinook was there, so it was really, really nice day. So everybody was out there having an ice cream. So we came out of the car, and we had an ice cream, and it was just amazing because it is exactly what this is about. And then we ended up in Calgary, being received with full honor for the Calgary Stampede, and receiving, the warmest of welcome. And there was one of the newspaper in Calgary had taken a photo of me and the pilot of my crew. His name was Rick Husband. And we were sitting somewhere, and they had a caption underneath that said, Canadian astronaut Julie Payette and Rich Husband are coming to Calgary. And I'm like, all right, I'm getting there. Unfortunately, you may know that Rick Husband was the commander of Space Shuttle Columbia who failed to re-enter the atmosphere in 2003, but he had fond memories of his trip to Alberta. You're probably wondering why I'm telling you all this. Well, it's because my last trip, because I came again and again and again. I've been everywhere in this province. I've been to Coutts, I've been to Grand Prairies, I've been to Lethbridge, I've been to Fort Smith. That was my last. Oh, that's true, Fort Smith is not in Alberta, right? Well, we played a game with my son. Because Fort Smith, yes, on the map is on the Northwest Territory, but we played that game where we had 1 foot in Alberta and 1 foot in the Northwest Territory. And of course, you can't distinguish, right? It's the same soil, same planet. And that's exactly why I'm talking about this, is because when we fly in space, that's exactly what we see. We see no distinction. Often, the planet makes little distinction, except if it's a geographical one. Because we share a vast, diverse spectacular country, all of us. And we work together to accomplish things. You do so in this very room every day. We work together so that we can move forward and improve things and that we can ensure prosperity for all Canadians, including our children in the future. Because that's who we are in this country. That's who you are in Alberta. An incredible place. You have here in this province, more than anywhere else I've ever seen, a culture of open innovation, a resilience, a leadership, a will to move forward no matter what happens. Yet, when I think of Alberta, because I've been here so many times, it's mostly the people I think. I think of the warmth, of the proud, of the hardworking people of Alberta. And they remind me of other people throughout this country. And then I think of the fact that you're really, really good. I was at the University of Alberta just an hour ago at developing and exporting talent, excellence, resourcefulness, highly qualified personnel. I know that for a fact, actually. I know this firsthand now in this new position. Because just last week, we had 5 Albertans that received the Order of Canada, the highest distinction in this country. One of them you might have heard of, a Mark Messier guy, who exemplifies almost alone exactly what this province is all about. Hard work, teamwork, and sharing, always. Ce qui m'amène aussi à dire que je suis maintenant dans une nouvelle position, gouverneur général, mais un prédécesseur, Roland Michener, from Lacombe, Alberta, 20th Governor General. Roland Michener a été le premier décoré de l'Ordre du Canada au monde, puisqu'elle a été créée en 1967 et qu'il était le gouverneur général, et donc il a reçu le premier insigne de l'Ordre du Canada. So now, if you did not know this before, then please use that in the next cocktail hours. But yes, the first person that was decorated with the Order of Canada was an Albertan, Roland Michener. But let me go back to perspective if I can for a minute. I know I only have 5 minutes, so I'm gonna go fast. But perspective. One of the greatest privilege that we get to see the planet from above is to see with perspective, to realize how important and precious home is and how much we need to put in some work. La planète, c'est tout ce qu'on a, c'est la seule qu'on a encore aujourd'hui, et donc on doit s'en occuper et travailler ensemble pour répondre à ses besoins et à ses défis. Because challenge we have, let's not be, you know this more than anybody else in this room, there are a lot of challenges and they're not going to go away. It's through collaboration and it's through the will to make things happen that we move forward. Oh, and by the way, I do have another link with Alberta. You might know that I flew my second mission in space in 2009. And at the time when I arrived on board the space station, there were people on board, including 8 Canadians. So the only time so far, this will be rectified in the future, but so far, the only time there's been 2 Canadians orbiting the planet at the same time, that was me and the Chancellor of the University of Calgary. So again, another connection. Certainly, you know more than anybody else because you serve the people of Alberta every day, that we have to be very careful. Things move fast in today's world, things change, and we can't be complacent. We have to always keep our guard up. And I know that you will continue to do what you do so well in this room, that you will continue to look out for those who have less, that you will stand up for those who can't, just like those famous 5 whose mural is right in the middle of the city of Edmonton, who stood up at a time where there was a need for that. That you will continue to do what you do particularly well in this province, welcome people who seek harbor. And that we will continue to use exploit and share your land intelligently, that you will continue to reach across to differences and also to seek opportunities for more collaboration and teamwork, and that you will never cease to base your judgment on facts and evidence, to be curious, and to ask questions, because that is the premise by which we find solution. And let's not forget, of course, because that's what we are, to celebrate who we are and where we'd like to be, and what we'd like to become. There is no doubt that this province in particular, the powerhouse, economic powerhouse of Canada, has made a tremendous contribution in the past to the well-being of our country. But without a strong Alberta, Canada could never reach its full potential in the future. So thank you for welcoming me into these venerable walls. I actually do feel at home. Merci de m'avoir accueilli aussi chaleureusement, but thank you for the service that you do for this province and for the entire country. And in closing, I hope you will allow me to use a parting phrase that we Flyers use to send each other off on really important and challenging mission. And that's Godspeed to you all. Merci beaucoup. Merci. At the beginning of my course, I forgot because I was too impressed. Mr. Speaker, who was so kind to lend me his chair for a few minutes, I brought something that astronauts bring, is what we do get to see. And this here is a picture taken by a colleague of mine 2 years ago on board the International Space Station. And we see in its entirety at night, based into beautiful northern lights, the entire province of Alberta. This is the highway we traveled right here. Yeah, this is Edmonton, Red Deer, Calgary. There's Grand Prairie, and then there's Fort McMurray. We see a little bit of Saskatoon, but this is hopefully something that will remind you that you inhabit a fantastic world. Thank you.
Thank you. Your Excellency, you said you had 5 minutes left. Actually, I would be prepared to give you far more time than any other individual in this room. And Your Excellency, if you were surprised that you were here sitting as our Governor General in this place, you would almost be as surprised as myself, who was a speaker welcoming the Governor General of Canada. You used the word spectacular. We do have a spectacular country, and I think we have a spectacular Governor General. Thank you, Your Excellency. Ladies and gentlemen, I would now invite Mr. R.C. Chambers, accompanied by the Royal Canadian Artillery Band, to lead us in singing of God Save the Queen. Please remain standing at its conclusion.
God save our gracious Queen, long live our noble Queen. God save the Queen. Send her victorious, happy and glorious, long to
Au revoir.